रेडियो उड़ान की अपडेट्स लेने के लिए इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और इस वीडियो को ज्यादा से ज्यादा लाइक कीजिए और शेयर कीजिए। फॉर मोर इन्फो लॉग ऑन टू www.radioudan.com। दिन भर की थकान के बाद आपके मूड को चिल करने
आ गए हैं हम म्यूजिक से आपकी सारी टेंशन दूर करने।
तो जुड़िए हमारे साथ, रिक्वेस्ट कीजिए अपने फेवरेट सॉन्ग।
मैं रेशम,
मैं वरुण,
मैं मुस्कान,
और हम आपके लिए लेकर आए हैं म्यूजिक मसाला 7 to 8 p.m. every Monday
and repeat every Tuesday 2 to 3 p.m.
only on Radio Udaan,
a
a flight of life। अब सुनो वो गाने जो आपका दिल चाहे।
जी दोस्तों, नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल। मैं दानिश महाजन प्रोग्राम बदलता दौर में आपका स्वागत करता हूं। प्रोग्राम बदलता दौर में आज का शो बेहद खास है। आज हम एक ऐसी पर्सनैलिटी को आपसे मिलवाने वाले हैं जो बहुत यंग है और कम्युनिटी में उनको बहुत जल्दी रिकॉग्निशन मिली है। साइंस और मैथ पर हमेशा से हम चर्चा करते रहे हैं कि कैसे इसको पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटी, खास तौर पे ब्लाइंड लोगों के करिकुलम का पार्ट बनाया जाए, एक्सेसिबल बनाया जाए। बहुत सारी स्टेट्स में मैथ और साइंस 8वीं तक पढ़ाया जाता है और लेकिन एक्सेसिबल मटेरियल ना होना या फिर लोगों की रुचि उस तरह से ना होना कि वो आगे परस्यू नहीं कर पाते। लेकिन आज हम जिनसे आपको मिलवाने वाले हैं उन्होंने जिम्मा उठाया है कि पूरे इंडिया में जितने स्पेशल स्कूल्स हैं, धीरे धीरे वहां पर कम से कम 8वीं तक मैथ और साइंस को एक्सेसिबल रूप से पढ़ाया जाए, उसमें रुचि लाई जाए, हर तरह के प्रयोग किए जाए ताकि बच्चों का इंटरेस्ट डेवलप हो और वो आगे भी इन सब्जेक्ट्स को ऑप्ट कर सकें। आज हम बात करेंगे विद्या से। विद्या हमारी आरजे भी रह चुकी हैं। शुरू से ही साइंस और मैथ में इनका गजब का टैलेंट है। नेशनल अवार्डी हैं ये। अभी हाल ही में इनको केवन केयर अवार्ड भी मिला है और इनकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है विजन एम्पावर। फाउंडर ट्रस्टी हैं उस ट्रस्ट की। तो बहुत जल्दी इन्होंने कम्युनिटी में रिकॉग्निशन हासिल की है और इनके काम की बातचीत हो रही है। विद्या, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर गिविंग अस टाइम। वेलकम टू रेडियो उड़ान वंस अगेन।
thank you so much, Danish. It's very nice to be here on the interview, especially because I have very close connection with the radio because I was an RJ earlier. So it feels to be wonderful being here.
First of all, many congratulations. It's been 15 years I'm working in this field, and I have noticed that you are the most youngest person who have got recognized by the community, by the government, at the very young age. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels very good. See, we don't actually start off by wanting to get recognized, but if it really comes your way, it gives you motivation, and it also builds in a sense of responsibility, and you want to do more and more work because you have one lifetime and you have to finish all that you're supposed to do. So there's a lot of work. We've barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, but your contribution is great. People are recognized. It's always, gives you more responsibility. Every awards comes with a responsibility that you have to work more and more. But before we dive into your professional journey, your activism journey, let's talk a bit about your journey. Tell us a bit about your disability and how was initial childhood. Why are you so passionate about math and science?
Yes, to tell you a little bit about my journey, I was born in a village on the outskirts of Bangalore. Actually, my parents had waited for 6 years for a child, and then I was born premature. And at that time, they didn't know that I couldn't see. First of all, they didn't get to hold me for 2 months because I was in an incubator. And then when they took me home, that's when they noticed that something is not okay. I am not responding to any visual cues. So when I was 3 months old, that's when the first ophthalmologist that they consulted, they said that, if you get your eye operated, everything will be fine. So there started the journey of trying to find out what to do, and it took them 4 years to actually finally get the news that I will never be able to see. And considering that it was a village, obviously, and a girl child who is blind, so everybody advised my parents early on to give up on me, and then that I couldn't be able to do anything. And more than support, there was a lot of discouragement around. Obviously, people stare at you, they don't let you go out and things like that. So it was very challenging initially for my parents. And my parents also have studied only till grade 10 in a government school, so they don't also have the education needed to know what to do with a blind child. Even there were internet and other things inside the city, but we didn't have access to it, and neither anybody told us what to do. The first 4 years completely went in trying to restore my eyesight. And later on, as I would really like to say that everything happens in our life, at least in my life, I feel it was all very synchronistic, because with divine intervention, things have been happening right from the first day. Because the doctor who operated one of my eye, she told my parents that, see, nothing can be done, but you have named her Vidhya, knowingly or unknowingly, which means knowledge. So you can provide her the best education. Till then, my parents didn't even think of education. So that was the first spark that they got, that I can be educated. And but later on, they didn't know what to do. Education means how will I write, how will I read? They didn't know that there's a concept of special school. But fortunately for me, after I was at home for another 1 year, so one of my neighbor, actually one random day, he saw a vehicle on which it was written Assisi Charitable Trust for the disabled. So I was very curious and followed it for 15 kilometers because he knew us and he wanted to help. And really, he followed it for 15 kilometers, and it took him to an organization which had, which was not a school, but it was a vocational training center. But there were people with and without disabilities, and fortunately for me, there was only one blind person who knew Braille. So that's where my earliest education began, and my parents started taking me there. And slowly, they forced my parents to actually enroll me in a formal school, and they told that there is a special school. So it took my parents 2 more years to actually enroll me into a school, because they had to leave me in a hostel, and all the schools were very far from the city. So yeah, initial childhood was like that till I joined the blind school. It was full of hardships and full of, I should say, I've been fortunate to get education, because in my village, close by near my house, there is a blind person, and I think she's 50 plus now. She barely comes out, so she's not even educated. And many people I know are not educated. They have been deprived of even normal life.
Right.
So yeah, that was my initial journey.
So, what was your experience at special school?
In my special school, the first thing I realized is I had to work extra hard, because I didn't have preschool, nothing. I went straight to grade 2. So right from the beginning, I don't know how, but right from the beginning, I was always very disciplined, because I knew that only hard work and discipline can take me far. So even in grade 2, I remember I would wake up at 4:30 because we had to do our dishes, we had to clean the stairs, we had to do everything by ourselves. And I would wake up early so that I can study and catch up with my friends. And at 4:30, I would set the alarm. I had a talking watch those days. And the school at the end of that year recognized me as the most disciplined student of the year. And that was it. That was the beginning. And from then on, from grade 3, I started topping my school, because that recognition, I knew that, okay, if you do well, you can be rewarded. And that's just the beginning. And so I started doing very well. It was good, because I learned to do a lot of things by myself. At the same time, I couldn't be at home. I had to be in the hostel, so it was challenging in that way. And those days, again, there was a norm that again math and science is not for us. So it was predefined. It was like everyone said your destiny is to take up humanities or music or whatever, but not math and science. So right from the first day, we've been told that way, and that was like the norm. But I always enjoyed studying math and science, and from then only I was doing well in math. So till 7th, I studied in the special school.
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities in my story and your story. The only thing when you were speaking about your doctor before, so one thing that doctor, if they are listening my show or they listen sometimes my show, your 1 sentence can change the life. In my case, they did not tell me I can study or not. So my 4 year got wasted. In your case, they told you so you could save the future years. So I think it's very important for the doctors or everyone whosoever meets with any disabled, they must encourage them for the rehabilitation or for the education. And you said that you were topping the time you were enrolled in the school. So now you developed that habit in the topping everywhere you go. Now you are topping in all the NGOs and everywhere. So you were told that you cannot take math and science. So first time, when was you introduced to when were you introduced to math and science?
No, we had regular math and science in our school, but without diagram. See, the science that we study, when you say cell, you say, oh, cell is structural and functional unit of a living organism, full stop. Nothing more. You don't know how a cell looks like. You don't even know that there's a representation. You only do addition and subtraction, multiplication, division in the blind school, nothing more. So you don't get to do geometry, for example. Even if there was basic tools that were available, it is no way in comparison to what a sighted child would learn. Those days I didn't know that. But even with the limited things that we were doing, I was always very good with math. In fact, even in my childhood, my mother recalls, like I would count the mustard seeds in the buttermilk. If someone gets me orange, then I would count, that how many pieces are there in the orange. I would start counting rice also is what my mother recalls. So I was always counting everything. In fact, some of the people in my neighborhood, they called me a computer because I always, someone tells me a phone number, I would like to learn and repeat it later. Or if they ask me, okay, when will, say, after 2 years, when my birthday will fall or something like that, then quickly I'll calculate and say I was always inclined to numbers.
Right.
So since school days, they were my favorite subjects. But I knew it's such a big challenge only after I left the regular blind school and joined a regular school. Now, the joining regular school was not at all easy because once I left the blind school, no one gave me admission. So we went in all the regular schools, some of the international schools, and asked them, please take me. So then they didn't take. They said, what if something happens to you? How will you go to the bathroom? This kind of questions, it's what they were asking. So then I ended up crying in a lot of interviews because obviously I was not as strong as now. I had to go through my own journey, and that was the first time I was outside the walls of a blind school. I didn't know that the world will be so harsh. And finally, because my father knew somebody, so that time we had shifted from a village to a town. Because my father knew somebody, the principal said, okay, we will admit her. But later on, that was the beginning of learning for myself, how to stand up for myself. As I mentioned, there was nobody around to support me. I either could continue with my education or leave and stay at home. There would be nobody to ask me whether you want to continue or leave or what is happening to you now. If you have any problem, you have to sort it yourself. That was the kind of thing that was available. And it was like a village itself, a little bit better than the previous village, but everyone spoke Kannada, and people, there are people who bully you for not being able to see. All kinds of things are there, and it was the beginning of trying to stand up for myself, and later school became very supportive once I knew, that once they knew that I was doing well.
So, when this idea came that since you have also studied in special school and math and science is not accessible, so I need to contribute to this field. When this idea came?
See, one incident that really shook me when I was in special school, and then I knew I have to work for the blind, but I didn't know when it's going to happen and in what area. But one incident that shook me, and when I firmly decided that no, I will work in this no matter what, was once they brought a girl. She was 11 years of age, and this girl couldn't, walk few steps. So first we all thought maybe she has some other disability. But later on we figured out she has only blindness. But for 11 years nobody had even taught how she should stand up and how she should walk. It was like someone was literally carrying her to the bathroom. Someone was literally doing all those things for her, and she had to leave school because she couldn't manage. I mean, when you see situations like that, that is when from the beginning, I was very inclined to social service. In fact, in my library, Braille books were there, and there were books on Mother Teresa and some other people who had done social work. So I always read about these, and I was always inclined to serving the society in whatever way. And that incident really shook me, and that's when I wanted to work for the blind. But when I decided to work for math and science, the challenges became more and more intensified, because when I would go to the regular school and sit, the teacher just drew something on the board and she would say, "You look at this. These are two numbers I multiplied and I'm getting 20. Now I don't know whether she's multiplied 2 and 10 and 4 and 5. Or in a science class, she'll say, look at this. These are the parts of a flower. And these are the labels. So I don't even remember how many days I've cried because I couldn't understand anything. And later I had to take volunteer help and tell my parents I need extra help and figure it out what to do. It was all trial and error. And that time I didn't know that there exists technology also, because it was village. So I literally did everything mentally. And the challenges further intensified when in my 12th grade, I again took up math, and I had to battle out with the education ministry that please give me 1 hour extra time. And a lot of people said, why don't you take up other subjects like other blind people? So it was very demotivating, along with your exams, the stress that first of all, you don't even have a textbook. Everybody has a textbook, but you don't even have that, and everything is written on the board. The challenges are so complicated, and on top of that, you have to fight for your policies. Every time it was like give up or continue. So it took a toll on my emotional health also slowly, and then I had to battle out those. Those days were very hard. And then the government agreed to give me 1 hour extra time, and then from then they've changed policies for everybody else in Karnataka. That was the beginning of my advocacy efforts. And even in my UG, I took up computer science, and those 3 years were the most difficult period of my life actually. So, that time programming, you cannot dictate it to anybody. You have to write it by yourself, and if someone audio records material for you, it's not even possible to audio record programming, because it will be something like open the quotes, open the bracket, write this, close quotes, put a semicolon. How will you record? Like, so many different types of brackets are there. It's not a school course or basic math course. There were advanced engineering level math subject, and per page there were 8 diagrams, say. So it was very, very, very difficult, because in college, nobody knew what to do. At home, nobody knew what to do. So my cousin helped me. So yeah, my cousin helped me. He was the only person who knew some volunteers. So one person from Canada, he would connect with me and teach me. His name was Arun Surya. There was another person from from Bangalore itself. So he would teach me after work whatever they could. They would connect on Team Viewer those days. Even before COVID happened, mine was fully online learning only, because in college nobody knew what to do. I would just go sit, come back, and whatever programming that they were teaching me, that much itself I could learn, and the rest of the diagrams and everything I skipped. Math, if someone was available, they would teach me say 5 days before the exam. So I had to learn the whole year of syllabus, say in 5 days, something like that. Whenever it's available, whenever help is available, I had to learn. And I'm talking about solving advanced calculus orally, because I didn't know of any other technology. So it was full of struggle, and that was the time my emotional health also deteriorated so much. I started getting migraine. I started getting lot of stress. At times when there was lot of touch and feel, my fingers also would become numb after doing so much of touch and feel. So it was really, really challenging. And like after all of these, after my triple IT days, after that I joined post graduation, and then is when I actually got a gold medal and worked at Microsoft Research also. But then that was the first time they had taken a blind person from when Microsoft Research began in India, and that was the time I knew how rewarding the careers are. Okay, and then I actually tried for jobs, but no one was giving me job, though I had topped my class. Everyone except me got a job. They told, why don't you take up banking jobs, or why don't you take up a telephone operator job? And then I said, show one person from triple IT who has actually studied this much and taken up this job. And then there was no answer. So I decided this is the time now, because no one is giving me job. I will not look for jobs. Instead, I'll create jobs. And then I was thinking what to do. Then I came up with this idea. Okay, I have struggled so much in math and science, and I have also experienced how rewarding the careers are. Now, why not? Everyone is facing the same issue across the country. Then why not make it accessible? And who will start? Let me only start, and this is the right time. And that was the time, my dream of working for the blind, that was the time it actually it was the right time to start the organization, because I didn't get a job.
Right. So now you are telling me you did Microsoft Research till companies were not hiring you, correct?
Yes.
But nowadays there are a lot of people who are working with the corporate. Why you were not getting job after this much study?
Because either the interviews were not accessible, they didn't even want to consider me for those roles, or in the beginning stages itself, people will tell you are blind, so you can do only these specific things. So what was the thing that I was looking for, a regular job that everyone is doing, that thing people were not ready to give. So when you say corporate, lot of people take you because it's a mandate or there is a requirement, and they say, okay, accessibility testing, or these are the 2-3 things that technology roles we can give a blind person, and we will give only that.
So what role you were seeking?
So I wanted, a combination of technology plus research, like how all my friends had got those roles. But that time it was not possible, and I was not getting into any job. Any job means I could have done, say, banking or other things that people wanted me to take it up, but my education, my qualification were not supporting that. Like, I had to do something else. And that's when I decided to start my own organization.
Acha, tell me one thing that I want to understand the psyche. You were struggling a lot with the math and science, as you have explained to our listeners. What is the one thing that pushed you? Like, why can't you people pick the subjects other are picking, or why don't you pick the subjects which are easy? What is the one thing that you are very difficult? No, we will do this only.
No, really, there were times I told my parents I want to leave this course and I don't want to do. But even if I cry so much in the night, or if anything happens, then by next day morning I would feel, why don't I give it a chance again? like that way it continued till my post graduation, but later on I started getting suicidal thoughts and everything. Like I had chronic depression for 4.5 years. That time I couldn't even wake up out of the I couldn't even get out of the bed, that kind of a scenario. Still I pushed through it, and it became so non-manageable that I just wanted to end my life and things like that. It went to that extent. And at the same time, fortunately for me, I found my spiritual masters who actually taught me meditation, who actually um, taught me a lot of wisdom, that how to manage life along with my meditation. And that's when a lot of troubles that were inside me started healing slowly, obviously, after so many years. But life became manageable only because of spiritual. Otherwise, I could have given up at that stage. Till then I pushed through it, but that was the point where everything started not functioning. Graduation, when I couldn't even get through any job, or I had worked so hard and things were not happening. Even in my personal life, things were not becoming easy. The pressure to get married and everything, and you know how it works in the disability sector, where arranged marriages and other things don't work. So all put together, it was like the point where, okay, nothing is going to work. But later on, again, things turned, and you can see we have grown as an organization, and I have grown as a person. And now the recognitions are there. So I always feel whenever any recognition comes, I remember this tough journey, and then I just feel grateful.
So before I get to your organization, last question. How was your experience at Triple IT? And tell us how did you join and how big that moment was?
Experience with Triple IT was really good, much better than all other college experience.
Tell us, our listeners, about Triple IT. What is this all about?
So Triple IT is one of the premier institutions in the country for technical education. It's International Institute for Information and Technology. There are many Triple IT branches, I think 3 or 4 if I'm not wrong. But one is in Bangalore. It's like IIT only. It's a sister organization of IIT, we can say. And there are a lot of courses here. So for any course that you want to get in, you have to go through the entrance exam, and then you will have interview and all of that. For some courses like MTech or IMTech, you have other exams, maybe JEE exam for IMTech and GATE exam for MTech and all of that. It's like a premier institution where the faculty are very much qualified, and it's like academic rigor is like any other broad institution, and it's really good. So here it was much more sensitive than the previous experiences, because teachers there had that exposure, they'd seen abroad how people with disabilities are. But again, we had to make I had to say, this is working for me, this is not working for me, or these are the things that are possible. At least there were people to listen to. And topping my batch and all was really not expected. As usual, I put in my effort, and it happened, and I received a gold medal also. And that was the time I also got connected to Microsoft Research, as I said. So the exposure that Triple IT gave was really huge for me, because I couldn't meet
that makes your
people.
Profile, right? That make your profile, and it becomes a bit easier to go to people that when you come from institute like Triple IT. So that also makes a little easy for you to work in the field, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. But Triple IT doesn't end there. Even now I'm associated with the institution, because for me, from 10 years I'm with Triple IT, because first I went as a research intern for 1 year. I took a break when I was a radio show RJ here at Radio Udaan. That time I was a research intern there. Then 2 years I studied masters there. After that is when my organization Vision Empower, they only helped us to set up an incubate over there, because they incubate a lot of startups. And the faculty members, Professor Amit Prakash, he was the one who encouraged me that, okay, you can do it, and helped me set up the organization. And he was the one who found Supriya, who is also the other founder. I, Professor Amit and Supriya have founded the organization. And she was also a student there at IIIT Bangalore, but she's about 30 years my senior. She was doing a different course after a long career in the corporate world. She thought she'll come back to academia, and she was doing MS by research. So I told her I want to start this organization and would you be partnering with me? And she said, give me 1 week's time, and then she agreed. So that's how the organization was formed. So IIIT has a huge role, not only in my academic journey, but also my career. And
Yeah, tell us about your organization now. What do you do?
so my organization is called Vision Empower. I already told that the motivation to start this was my own journey and to provide opportunities to millions of children who have been deprived of studying STEM education, of studying STEM subjects, that's science, technology, engineering, and math. So our organization actually makes STEM education accessible. By that, what I mean is everything that a sighted child is studying in math or science, even our children will be able to study, the children with visual impairment, and we are making all of it accessible. So in 2017, we just started off working with one school in Karnataka, and we were the only 3 people. But now we are in about 128 schools in 6 years' time, and we are working with in 14 states, and we are about 70 people in the team. So to tell you some more details, what we exactly do. So initial days when we started, because we were researchers and technologists, so we actually went to schools and saw why children are dropping out from STEM. Now to tell you a little bit about the magnitude of the problem, we have 1/3 of the world's blind population in India, and census data tells that we have 11 lakh children in the school going age group, visually impaired children. And that's just this generation. So many generations have gone by, and you would be surprised to know that less than 50 students have taken up STEM beyond high school. That's the kind of problem that we are talking about. Now, we as researchers, we wanted to find out why. Why is this? Why are such few people taking it up? So we found that there were 3 broad areas, 3 broad problems because of which this was happening. First is every child was going to school, but they were not given content. That means nothing is available through touch and feel. Whatever you learn, it's only oral, and how can you learn math and science just by repeating things like a parrot? You cannot learn by listening. You will only hear the chalk sound, as I said. So content itself was not there. Tactile materials were not there. Tactile materials means the things that you can touch and feel, like 3D models, like braille embossed diagram. Now when you say circle, the child has to touch circle to know what a circle is. When you say triangle, that child has to touch triangle. When you say human skeleton, the child has to touch the model or the diagram of that, and only then he or she can comprehend what it is, because we are not seeing. So the only way is through touch and feel. Now all of these were not available. So this was the first problem why many children were dropping out. So obviously our first preference was to make the content accessible, both by giving textbooks in braille where all the diagrams are there. Along with that, we make 3D models. We have partnered with a lot of organizations like Raisline Foundations and all that. And Matruchaya in the initial days, they helped us come up with all the tactile diagrams through their volunteer help. So we provide all of these to the schools. So our first intervention naturally was to make the content available. Okay, now we have sorted out the content issue. And sorting out is not easy, because even you have to customize the content. Okay, like for example, a lot of cited textbooks, when you take a textbook, you can read things like, look around, look at this, there's a lot of greenery, or look at this is in the shape of a mountain. Now, if a blind child doesn't know what a mountain is, you are lost. The whole concept is gone. You can't understand anything in that concept because you don't know what mountain is. So you have to even change the language to, address to this challenge that children may not know how different things in the world looks like. So making the content accessible was first thing that we did. Now, once you make the content available, schools will put it in the cupboard and lock it and keep it. Who is going to use? How are you going to give this content? So next we found out that teachers are the biggest pillars. If you want to do anything in the education sector, you will have to tap into the teachers' resources. Like teachers will happen, you'll have to tap into the capacity of the teachers. So our second main pillar is teacher training, because many children were dropping out because there were not enough teachers who could teach these subjects. Because any sighted person only, if you take, how will you explain concept of a light to a child who can never see or who has never seen light? And you can't explain light, then how will you explain experiments on reflection or refraction or anything at all? What are you going to do? So it's not very obvious how you will teach this, right? So we are making we have periodic teacher trainings. That was our second program, where we train the sighted teachers also on teaching all of these concepts to the children, as well as we have a lot of visually impaired teachers in blind schools. Now they themselves haven't studied these subjects. How will they teach these to the children? So we have to explain them concepts. We have to build their knowledge. They have to come to a level where they can teach these subjects, and we keep giving them new material, so they have to learn how to use those material. So our second program is the teacher training program, and our third program is because the challenge was teacher training, like teachers were not available, so we're making it available. We're making teachers available to schools through the trainings that we have. And one more main issue was a lot of children were dropping out from these subjects because they didn't have technology. Any small technology that you take, like in US, suppose a refreshable braille display, that every child will have. But we can't get it here because, like, if one device is costing about 40,000, or if you take human-wear devices, they're easily 3 lakh, 4 lakh. How will you bring it to every child in India? So this is the reason why we formed another company called Wemby Technologies. It's VEMBI, Wemby Technologies, to specifically address this challenge that a lot of technologies are needed, and we have to make it affordable if countries like India have to use it, because we can't give it to every child, and that needs lot of research. We need very good brains. So fortunately we have Raj on our team, Nagaraj and Rajagopal. So he is the person who is the inventor of this device. We have our own device called Hexes. It is the world's most affordable braille book reader that we have. After a lot of research, we have come up with this refreshable braille display. Like, it has only 4 keys, and it is the most affordable, and it's very easy to use. Every child takes less than 5 minutes to learn how to use it. And as you know that for us, when we were children, even if you had to say learn a song, for example, if you want to learn a song, if there was a music period in your school, they'll first dictate the song for 3 periods, and only 4th period you can see the song and sing. So because braille takes so much time to write, and by the time you get your textbook, half year is over, because the printing takes a lot of time. And every small book our sighted peers had, for us it was like 7 volumes. I remember it was 7 fat books to carry my social science book in my 10th grade, while it was small book for my friends. So the 1 page of print takes about 7 pages in braille, and these are thick papers, and you cannot carry them around. They're very bulky. And if you want to read something in your regional language, like Kannada, for example, for me, that was like a dream come true, because we got no material. And because of all of these, the literacy of the children was suffering, and we had to make it available. So our device, what happens now is, if you upload any content, we have a software platform also which is called Antara. So if you upload any content on that device, suppose you have 1,000 children across the country who are in grade 5. If you upload on the device, and every child is having one of this Hexes hardware device that I'm talking about, just the child clicks on download button, and the content instantly pops up in any regional language on that device. So it is that powerful, and now our children are enjoying because now it's in the market and we have given it to all the schools that we work in. So technology is always our focus, and we have also designed a learning management system which is very accessible, because our teachers and students, once they go home, they have nothing to refer to.
It is open for all, or it is only for the schools you are working?
It is only for now, only for the schools that we are working, but we will open it to everybody else. But it's for children.
It's
So
for
it is
children.
not for adults. It is for children, because it has only 4 keys, and because we had a lot of devices that focused on adults, and we didn't have things focused on children.
Right.
And that's why the need for this device, and it's purely for children.
How special schools are receiving it?
Okay, before this question, I'll quickly talk about one more initiative that we have, if
Yeah.
it is okay, and then
Yeah,
respond.
go on.
So, we have another technology. As I told, we are making the learning management platform we have. It's called Subodha, where all the materials that we put up are accessible for teachers and students digitally. That means using your mobile app, or using our mobile app, or you can go to the website also on computer and refer all of these materials, because there were a lot of LMS platforms, but they were not accessible for children who are visually impaired. And another project that we have been doing from day one, and it's hugely supported by Microsoft, is the computational thinking program. So basically, we wanted to see how to teach programming and everything to children, but without being comfortable in numbers, you cannot go much forward in the journey. So we had to start with basics of numeracy itself. Now what we did, we were thinking of how to do it, and we found that there was a curriculum which ACM had designed, but it is purely animation based and visual based. So we have to make it accessible, and this is when my mentor Manohar Swaminathan, he came up with this idea. Mentor at Microsoft, when I was at Microsoft, he came up with this idea that why don't we design a lot of games, and the children will play, and as they play, they learn. So that's when he and Joyjit Pal, another researcher, they came up with this ludic design for accessibility concept, where everything happens through play and learning happens through play, basically. So we have designed a lot of tools like braille cards and everything that we have designed, and the children actually play with these cards and they learn numbers. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. So one game that is hit among children is something called IC10. Okay, because I'm talking about grade 1, 2, 3 children. So they have to take 2 cards, and they have to make a pair, so that adding these numbers will equal 10. For example, 6 and 4, or 5 and 5, or 3 and 7. Whoever makes the largest number of pairs, they will win the game. Now for them it is play, but for us, they are learning counting, they are learning addition, they are learning what is a pair, they are learning to count the number of pairs. So many concepts they are learning in one simple game. Like that, we have about 100, more than 100 games, and this is a hit in all the schools, because when the teachers are, even when we're training the teachers, they love playing, because they say, things are so, if you tell the child to take the tailor frame, write it, and then learn, it becomes very boring, and the teachers also are not enjoying. So with this kind of intervention, where you can learn everything through play, it is a hit among teachers and students, and they also really enjoy. So yeah, this is one of our intervention as well.
Yeah. Now 2 questions. One I have already asked, that how special schools are receiving you, and second, since you said you established this organization in 2017, what is the outcome so far?
Okay, so special schools, how they're receiving is initially, when we don't go to school, every school, and tell them, okay, we want to work with you. We partner with state governments. We go to the government departments directly, and they sign an MOU with us, and they send the circulars to schools saying that this is an organization who have everything that you will need for math and science. So you have to attend the training. They send the circular to school, so it becomes very easy for us to go to school. Now, initially, when we go to schools, obviously the teachers are not sure what we are going to do and everything. But as we proceed, they really love it, and they're like, "Why so many years things were not available?" They're very surprised that how much they're missing out. So all the schools are so happy because now what we see is, recently we had this science day on February 28th. So in 10 states we had conducted this science day event where a child is easily demonstrating to you lot of different experiments. A child is able to draw so many things. A child is able to do so many things that were thought that it is not even possible. And one thing that happened was we had called a lot of sighted children as well, whoever nearby school children we had called. And a lot of children were actually crying as well. A blind person singing was something they knew, but a blind person doing experiments and showing you with so much confidence, explaining, say, the parts of a flower or something. And a lot of children were like, we want to come and learn from the children on how to do, because even in our school, we don't get these kind of resources. So the teachers were very moved and they were so happy that, wow, okay, what a shift. Like they had never seen things like this in their lifetime. And really, if you were to ask me when I started the organization, even it was not even in my dreams that, okay, in less than 10 years, we will see all of this kind of a shift. Now you go to a school, a child is easily able to take up a geometry kit and draw something and show it to you in the schools that we are working in sufficiently longer time. So all this is possible, and this is with so much dedication from the team, from the teachers, from the students. So the outcome is more in terms of these. The outcome is in terms of what paradigm shift have we been able to bring about. Something that no one cared about, right? STEM education. So how seamlessly it's all happening, obviously with so much effort. But there cannot be, what shall I say? I feel my life is worth living now that the very challenges that I face in my lifetime, I'm able to contribute. So I'm very happy.
So last questions, 2-3 questions, and we have now less time. So I request you to be concise and tell us a bit your awards. You are also attending a lot of international conferences. So are you going to replicate this model overseas, or people are replicating this model in their own countries? And what would be your message to our listeners?
Okay, 3 questions. So coming to my awards, there were a lot of awards that I've received. Some of them like TIE Aspire Young Achiever Awards, then Reebok Fit to Fight Awards, and lot of awards, I think about 20-30 bigger awards I've received. So I don't remember all the names, but some of the notable ones were from the President of India that I received on December 3rd, 2022 for National Award for Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. So I received in the highest category, which is the Sarvashresth Divyangjan, that category. And some of the prominent recognitions are I got to meet Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella and present to him, which was really nice that he gave me time and listened to my work and gave me a lot of encouragement to take it to the rest of the world. And also in the United Nations on International Women's Day last year, the Secretary of the International Telecommunication Union, she actually picked up 3 stories across the world, and one of the story was mine. So she said that, how people are changing so many lives, and she mentioned about my digital literacy initiative. So these are some of the ones that were very much, what shall I say, at the global level. Some of these recognitions were there, and I got to speak in a lot of conferences. I've been representing India in World Summit on Information Society. So a lot of organizations like International Telecommunication Union and a lot of organizations come together to discuss some of these very prominent issues that are there and come up with solutions. So I've always tried to get STEM education and say that these are the challenges. And also I went to Japan, Kyoto, for attending the Internet Governance Forum last year. There I met Vint Cerf, who is the father of the Internet. So that is also one more recognition that I'm very happy about. And we're trying to make some of the courses in Internet governance accessible to visually impaired people across the world. So I've been involved in a lot of these kind of advocacy groups, these kind of groups where our initiatives can scale. And also we have been speaking to the Africa government to see how we can take our initiative to their country as well. So yeah, all of these are there. Awards and recognition keep coming, but some of these are the major ones. And then you asked me 2 more questions, right?
Your message.
My message to the listeners would be, the thing is, if you're born on this planet, that means you're unique. You're sent here for a specific purpose. Before it's too late, it is everybody's responsibility to identify your uniqueness, to see for which purpose you have come here and work towards it, no matter what the struggle is. We all are good in something or the other, and we all have so many things that we can give back. It is just finding your purpose and working towards it. And everyone should, I think, contribute to making the world a better place.
It was absolute pleasure talking to you, Vidhya. Or you are creating so much of content, and we can go on and on. Definitely we will have some more podcasts because your journey is very fascinating and the work you are doing is really superb. The future is bright for the children who want to go with STEM education, and you're contributing a lot on India level and international level. So kudos to you, hats off to you. Keep the work going. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much, Danish, and wish you a bright future as well, because you're doing so much for the community and I keep listening to so many shows. So all the very best to you as well.
Thank you. तो आज हमने बात की विद्या से, जो विजन एम्पावर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चलाते हैं, जिनका सपना है कि सबको स्टेम एजुकेशन एक्सेसिबल वे में मिलनी चाहिए. और जैसा कि उन्होंने बताया कि 14 स्टेट्स में 128 स्कूलों के साथ वो काम कर रहे हैं. आगे भी ये नंबर बढ़ता जाएगा और यही चाहते हैं कि हर स्कूल में एक्सेसिबल एजुकेशन होनी चाहिए, स्टेम एजुकेशन होनी चाहिए. कैसा लगा आपको शो, बताइएगा जरूर. सुनते रहिए रेडियो उड़ान फ्लाइट ऑफ लाइफ. अगले सप्ताह होगी मुलाकात एक और पर्सनैलिटी के साथ. दीजिए इजाजत. सुनते रहिए रेडियो उड़ान फ्लाइट ऑफ लाइफ. बाय बाय.
आइए मित्रा ज्योति के साथ सशक्तिकरण की दुनिया को कीजिए अनलॉक. डिजिटल साक्षरता, रोजगार के अवसर और उच्च शिक्षा सहायता जैसी परियोजनाओं के साथ 34 वर्षों के अनुभव का लाभ उठाएं. मधु सिंघल के नेतृत्व में मित्रा ज्योति दृष्टिबाधितों के लिए मार्ग प्रशस्त करती है. डिजिटल साक्षरता, रोजगार और उच्च शिक्षा की परियोजनाओं के साथ जीवन बदल देती है. आपके लिए मित्रा ज्योति खोल सकती है स्वतंत्रता के द्वार. अधिक जानकारी के लिए विजिट करें www.mitrajyoti.org पर या फिर कॉल करें 08022587623 पर. तो आज ही मित्रा ज्योति से जुड़े और अपनी स्वतंत्रता का मार्ग प्रशस्त करें.
दीप स्तंभ मनोबल फाउंडेशन एनजीओ 2005 से विजुअली चैलेंज्ड ऑर्फन्स, यूथ और ट्राइबल्स के लिए क्वालिटेटिव कम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशन ट्रेनिंग, हायर एजुकेशन ट्रेनिंग और टेक्निकल एजुकेशन ट्रेनिंग के क्षेत्र में काम कर रही है. ज्यादा जानकारी के लिए आप कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं deepstambhNGO@gmail.com ईमेल आईडी पर. आप मिस्टर फैयाज अतर से फोन कॉल के माध्यम से संपर्क कर सकते हैं. नंबर है 9657724559.